Welcome, this is Ad Emmen reporting live for Primeur from the ETP4HPC Workshop at ISC in Frankfurt. And we're here with Jean-Pierre Panziera, who is also chair of the ETP4HPC. So welcome.
Thank you, Ed. Hello everyone from the Primeur Magazine. I'm very happy to be talking to you today about the ETP4HPC. So just let me explain in a few words, what the ETP4HPC is. It's an association that is industry-led, so by the HPC industry, European industry, and it's gathering all the stakeholders in the HPC ecosystem in Europe toward the goal of developing a worldwide class HPC supply chain. And so really the focus of the ETP is to develop the HPC technology in Europe. It's also, as an association, interact with the European Commission, and it's actually, if you want to say, a technical advisory board to the Commission. We have actually a partnership which is we signed with the Commission. It's one of these public-private partnership contract, and that started at the beginning of the Horizon2020 Work Programme. So that's ongoing since the end of 2013. So for the Work Programme started in 2014, and so we're really working with the Commission, defining the roadmap and how the investment could be used to develop the European ecosystem, and more specifically the European technology and the industry. So for this, there are a couple of things that where the ETP4HPC is involved, and one of, I would say, the most visible part is probably the writing of this SRA, Strategic Research Agenda. So what I have here in my hands, and
okay,
I think you could read that, and it's on the web by the way, and so you can access there. And this release is already 2 years old. It was done in 2015, and we are, as we speak, getting ready for the next release, which should come out sometime in September this year. And what this SRA is actually doing is putting together all the HPC experts of different areas, whether we're talking about users, developers, the data centers, the HPC data centers, or the industry technology developers, all of them together, defining what the roadmap, the technology roadmap, and this is used as a base by the Commission for all the calls that are coming out, among other calls that you see, and this is the reason for us to be here in this workshop during ISC. So this workshop that today is about the extreme scale demonstrators. You also may have heard about a project a new call that is coming up about a European microprocessor. So all of this is part of the action of the ETP4HPC, where we define the roadmap and the actions and the different programs that are defined by the Commission. So today, a few words about today's workshop. So this, so it's about these extreme scale demonstrators, and these are meant to be prototype of what would be the pre-exascale or the exascale systems that would be part of the Euro HPC agreement. So if you remember, back in March in Rome, you had 7 countries, but now you have also Belgium that signed in. So all these countries got together and they signed this agreement that they would work together to provide to Europe some substantial HPC resources in the form of 2 pre-exascale systems in 2020-21 and another 2 exascale size systems in 22-23. And so the extreme scale demonstrators are a preview of what the system would be, and we have already several workshops discussing with users, with developers, with the different research projects that have been launched by the Commission. And today we're completing the picture with the input from the industry, so the end users, not only the academics, the scientific kind of, but in the industry, all the engineers, how they use HPC, what their needs. And today we have representatives of different type of industry, from pharmaceutical, from the energy part, from manufacturing as well. So all these people, giving us input of their requirement, where their needs are going to be today, but more importantly, what they will be in a few years from now, when we'll come to a market, hopefully, with these exascale systems.
Okay. When I talk to people from, let's say, outside Europe,
yes,
they are, of course, interested in the things that are happening. And one of the questions they ask is, well, what will the system look like in 2020, 22, 23-ish?
23. Well, they will be big. That's one thing for sure. Yeah. There is no matter how much the technology evolves, and we still have a few cycles in the Moore's law with the process for which we use for to make our processes will shrink a couple more times, but we see the end of it, and we see and this progression is slowing down. And so when we look at systems in 2022-23, with the requirements that we have in terms of performance, they will be bigger than today. They will use more energy. But now the real challenge is within that envelope that we may grow a little bit. The most advantageous one would grow it by a factor of 2, with respect to what they have today. But that's not a factor of 10 or 100. Mm-hmm. So we really within that envelope, to provide, let's say, 50 times more performance than today, this is quite a challenge, right? And so that would be, a factor of 25. And that's where we get a lot of questions, and that's what, all the efforts are going through. And today's particularly, it's very important that we look at the usage of these systems, and today's the industry, but we also talk a lot with people in the scientific and academic world as well.
Okay. How does the European initiatives compare to the international ones, say in the US, Japan, China?
Okay. So China is an interesting one. I will start with that one because we've seen, they're on the top 500, and they have 2 systems up there on the top 500. And it's very, actually, it's from the technology standpoint, it's a great achievement what is done there. The problem we see, and that's maybe a difference with what we're doing here in Europe, or what we'd like to do, is really to focus more on application rather than building, a system that will be at the exaflop and do very well on LINPACK, but probably very poorly on other applications. We rather start from the other end and look at the application, look at the requirements, and maybe the right metric might not be HPL, which stands for high performance LINPACK, but maybe something more along the line of HPCG, high performance conjugate gradient, which is mostly stressing the memory bandwidth, the way you access data. Computing in itself is very important, but you compute on data, and so that's where when you look at the architecture of the systems, that's very important. The memory access and how you store the data, the disk access, the storage, and how you interact with that data. And so with that respect, the system that we have in mind, and I see for the exascale system in Europe, will be quite different from what we see in the top 500 with, for example, the system in China. When we look at what happened, for example, in Japan with their exascale program, it's led by Riken, and Fujitsu is implementing it. So from what we've seen from their public description of this program, they've done a similar approach. They've taken us, they looked at all the range of applications that they foresee to run in that time frame, and they selected, one area that is of interest to them, and they're focusing their development on that part. And the US, you've seen the announcement recently about the path forward, and they have 6 projects going in parallel, and you can expect that so at least a couple of them will end up being real exascale systems. So we have maybe, I would say, we have an ambitious program in Europe but the Japanese are focusing on one, the Americans have 6 projects. We may have a few. For example, the pre-exascale system and the preview, which is this extreme scale demonstrator that we're talking about. We're thinking that it could be between 2 and 4. Yeah. So we are in between, these 2 extremes.
Okay. Just before closing, I see that you have a brochure which probably...
Yes. And this is your leaflet, from the ETP4HPC. Again, you may find it on our website. And it's describing what we do in the association. So just a few words about the association. Sure. So I'm the new chairman. I've been chairman for less than 1 year. But the association has been around since 2011. Currently we have about 80 members. I think currently exact number is 79. But we have a couple of people knocking on our door. And some of the companies are small companies, some are going away, but it's slowly growing, and there is a lot of interest. And so we have in the organization, as I mentioned, representative from the industry. I myself, beside being the chairman, I work for Atos, Bull, and I'm the CTO for HPC. And we have other companies and representative from the users and also from the developers. The centers of excellence are also part of the ETP. So all of this works well, and we really want to push and be instrumental in the development of the exascale program. And so, in the form of the strategic research agenda, that's giving, indication where we should go, where the technology, which technology we should invest in, and organizing a workshop like today.
Okay.
Any other question?
No, I think. Okay. Thank you very much for this interview.
Thank you, Ed, and hello, all the Primeur Magazine readers.
For Primeur Magazine, this was Attemann reporting.